Hi, folks. As the 1820's continue to move forward, Texas was enjoying some really good growth. Now, as we talked about, the impresarios, the business people who brought groups to Texas, that was very helpful because they were able to create settlements and people were able to work together and build their land up. And it turned out to be a very nice situation. But in fact, in one particular case, they determined that one crop that could be grown very well in Texas was cotton. Now, that was good and bad. Good because it was a crop that could be very easily grown in Texas and was in demand and therefore worth a lot of money. On the other hand, the people who wanted to grow the cotton were people from the United States, especially the southern United States. And with that was their idea of bringing slaves into Texas to help with the production of the cotton. So that right there created a tension between people who didn't want slavery and the ones who did want the slaves in order to keep the cotton business going. Another thing that was happening was the fact that it was an appealing place to go to. It was an attractive place, partly because the land they could find was good, but also the prices were pretty good. So they could afford it. And as a result, that increased the number of people. You had not only just Americans, but people from Great Britain and also from Ireland coming in and moving in. But here's something else that was happening. Something called, there were people who would come in just to come in and sit down. Now, people who didn't have any money and couldn't afford the land would simply come in and take stake. And they would start growing crops. Those were called squatters. Now, they weren't exactly welcome, but at the same time, they were people who were moving in. Now, there's also something else that was happening in Texas, and that is we as Americans, remember, this whole thing is about manifest destiny. Americans believed that they needed to move west. And one of the things that helped motivate that, remember, the end of the war, 1815 was the end of World War, the War of 1812. And then the bank panic of 1819. Now, the bank panic was not cute, but interesting because people felt the need to move to Texas to start over. It was a way for them to get a fresh start. So the bank panic itself, because people needed to have an economy that was working, would then move to places like Texas in order to make sure they had a livelihood. So that was another factor. And there was also something else. There were people who were in debt that felt like the only way to have a fresh start was to move to Texas to have a fresh start. So you had people who were in debt that were moving into Texas. Plus, there were some not so honest people, criminals that were moving in because the U.S. law enforcement could not go get them in Texas. So you had such a different combination of people that were moving in and settling in the area, some good and some with questionable character. But they all played a part in watching Texas grow during the 1830s. We're in the thousands of people, 30,000 or maybe more, were now living in Texas, and was all because of the fact that this was an area that people felt they could at least get a brand new start, a fresh start, and maybe get just a new life. So Texas became quite an option for many people, and that was the beginning of eventually a rapidly growing part of the country. So Texas was growing in the 1920s or 1820s. Talk to you later.